Doing a hardcore challenge has been pretty damn popular lately in the World of Warcraft Classic community, with thousands of eager players and streamers giving it a go, with lots of hilarious and cringy moments as a result. Making it to max level without dying isn't as easy as it is on retail World of Warcraft, where your character is basically Superman on steroids, plowing through tons of mobs with ease without any real danger. Blizzard has recently announced their plans to launch official hardcore servers, supposedly alleviating the need for using the hardcore add-on. We'll see how that works out, and I'll definitely be giving that a go, but I'm also pretty skeptical about their ability to deliver on what players really want. As part of my preparation, I've recently attained 60 as a mage during the hardcore challenge on the private server Duskhaven, which is a classic plus server built on a Wrath of the Lich King core. If you're at all familiar with how the game has evolved between vanilla and Wrath, you'd be correct in guessing that it's much easier to hit level 60 in the latter than it is in the former. To mitigate some of the overwhelming advantages Wrath characters have, such as higher power levels and a lower amount of experience needed, Duskhaven has implemented the hardcore debuffs: 50% less experience gained, 30% less damage dealt, 30% more damage taken, and 25% less absorb and healing effects. Is this enough to make it as challenging as it is on true classic realms? Is it any fun? Does it count as a real hardcore challenge? Let's find out. To start a hardcore challenge on Duskhaven, you have to talk to this NPC in your starter zone at level 1 and accept the quest Depths of Despair. You'll receive the hardcore debuffs and can start your journey. Keep in mind that you aren't allowed to use the RDF tool. In theory, you can still do it, but if you're caught, you'll get banned, and you physically cannot use things such as Divine Shield or Ice Block. Once you hit 60, you'll need to contact the GM who can grant you the rewards, the title Hellblazer and the big Murloc mount. Pretty cool incentives. I chose to level a mage, fire until 50 and frost for the last 10 levels. Not being able to use Ice Block wasn't a huge problem overall, it just meant I had to be more careful with things like dots and repeated snares. Because Duskhaven is on a rat core, I was able to choose Draenei, and I picked this race for 3 reasons. A 1% hit aura is very useful, although if you're doing the hardcore challenge I would advise you to stick to lower level mobs, so missing wasn't often a problem, but it did come in handy a few times. The Draenei ratio, Gift of the Naru, provided me with a pretty damn strong healing over time ability, which is often very useful on a mage, which is traditionally restricted to potions, bandages and food. And lastly, I've been leveling through the basic starter zones too often lately, so I wanted a change of pace, and it had been a while since I did the Draenei starter zone. Duskhaven additionally allows for 3 professions, and they're Wrath of the Lich King professions with actual bonuses. I ended up just taking Herbalism for the Lifeblood healing over time effect, another way to restore HP. If you add the Evocation glyph, which restores 60% of your HP over its duration, I had multiple ways of regaining health in combat, a massive advantage. And this alone is enough for a hardcore challenge on a mage to be considered significantly easier on Duskhaven than on Classic. Despite the heavy debuffs, your character is still stronger on Duskhaven than it was back in Classic, due to several factors such as better talents, more optimized gear, better resource regeneration, weaker mobs in general, and so on. You can also buy gear from the auction house or trade with other players if you so desire. You're in no way restricted here. Duskhaven also offers plenty of custom quests, which grant a lot of experience, and many of the strong elite mobs and quests from vanilla got nerfed and turned into content which you can just do solo. This means the world is generally a much safer place on Duskhaven than on Classic, and even without Ice Block I never felt afraid to venture out in densely packed areas, something you definitely cannot do on Classic. On the other hand, Duskhaven is a private server, which means there are occasional bugs and random freak events, such as significantly overtuned mobs popping up in lower level zones. For example, the Ankh-Qiraj mobs in Stormwind and Orgrimmar, or those in Silitas which nearly one-shot level 58s. How fast can you level during Duskhaven's hardcore challenge? Well, your experience is nerfed by 50%, but because Duskhaven is a 2 times experience rate realm usually, it just puts you back on normal footing, and with the added custom quest lines, it actually is quite a bit faster than on Classic. On the mage, I am sitting at about 3 days of playtime in total, but keep in mind that I'm an experienced player who's gone from 1 to 60 more times than I want to contemplate, so I know exactly what to do, where to go, and how to optimize my playtime. even without an add-on. And on Duskhaven, you can actually get a mount at level 8, which drastically reduces the time you need to spend running between quests. If we add all of this up, it's not hard to come to the conclusion that Duskhaven's hardcore challenge is significantly easier than on the classic realms. But it does have a few clear advantages. It's an actual mode you can turn on, and there are rewards for completing the challenge. No need to rely on a crutch add-on. Dead is dead, in theory. Okay, this will probably not seem like an advantage if you die at 58, but my point is that your character will eventually be locked if you die during the challenge. However, as far as I know, this is not automatic, and a GM would actually need to manually do this, so you can fly under the radar and keep playing, albeit at a slower pace without any rewards at the end. And finally, and this is a big one considering it's a video game, in my opinion, it's more fun to play on a rat core because of the quality of life improvements and smoother gameplay, but I know there are many players who consider Classic's 2004 playstyle more fun. I've heard rumors that Duskhaven is considering making some changes to their hardcore mode to actually turn it into a real challenge, and here's how they can do it. Make it an automatic system so that when you die, you actually get logged out and your access gets restricted. Make the hardcore debuffs harsher, increasing damage taken and reduced damage done by at least 50%. Reduce experience gain by an additional 30 to 50%. Block you from using the mailbox, auction house, and trading or grouping with other players. Only give original classes and specs access to the hardcore mode, so no overpowered monks, tank shamans, or Draenei and blood elves. If they were to implement all of those things, Duskhaven's hardcore mode would be on par difficulty-wise with Classic, but as it stands, it's way too easy. If you only want to level a character in a real hardcore manner, you're best off sticking to Classic era realms, or waiting for the official hardcore servers. But if you want an easier introduction to this type of content, which is pretty damn fun too, with good rewards at the end, Duskhaven is the way to go. And let's not forget, Duskhaven's PvE endgame content is way more expansive and engaging than that of Blizzard's realms, with Mythic Plus dungeons, heroic raids, custom classes, custom raids, and so on. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Have you tried Duskhaven's hardcore challenge? Do you want to give it a go, or do you prefer to stick to classic era realms? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you in the next video.